Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you the latest on some severe weather potential towards South Georgia right now. You see that pink area, that's a severe thunderstorm watch until about 2 a.m. But then we have some yellow polygons, which are severe thunderstorm warnings in play as we're looking toward areas of southwest Georgia around, it looks like Clay County, Georgia. We have a warning at 9 o'clock. It is canceled out. The Weather Service did equipment in Randolph counties, but then further over toward the I-75 corridor, we have a newly issued severe thunderstorm warning to 9:30 for a more populated area of our viewing circle. That includes areas of Ben Hill, Irwin, Tift, Turner, and Worth counties. So coming on here, watching things. I know if you're around Stark or Jacksonville, not really seeing the threat come into play as we kind of look at things right now as we come on the air. So that's good. Tomorrow there'll be a risk around, but it'll be something that we'll be watching then. But at this point tonight, not too concerned. So that's definitely some good news in that regard. But we're always, of course, watching things here across our 62 counties. We're in Bradford County and in Florida, but our 62 counties here, we're always on for any tornado warning storms and then severe thunderstorms that are a little bit more concerning. And we're seeing some of that there right now in that area in south central Georgia, around areas there of Ben Hill, Irwin, Tift, Turner, and Worth counties. So something to keep our eyes on very carefully there. I know it's a scenario where we did have some wind damage earlier on as we were looking a little bit further over toward the west with a boundary, actually. We were posting about it on Facebook and Twitter/X like we always do in the situations when don't need to quite come on, but didn't really have it from the storm complex. We just had a boundary here. Impact areas further on over toward the west here. So let me go ahead and see that loop here. You can kind of see it's that line there, that thin blue/green line when it was a little bit further up there in toward Randolph County, and then the loop didn't go quite far back enough. It didn't go quite far back enough, really, as we're looking and tracking things. Didn't really try to, get in there back, and toward the timeline. But as we go ahead and watch things here, we'll go ahead and see the temperature. I know it's been warmer today. We were seeing that cooler come into play here, but I'm not seeing that right now. And seeing some of that severe weather potential here setting on up. So that's why that pink area is under a severe thunderstorm watch until 2 a.m. I know. Even seeing, maybe a little bit of a really weak rotation on Aspirin there around Interstate 75 as we go over to our other products. You see our little shear markers showing up. I'm not expecting tornadic activity, but it looks like just had kind of a boundary here that bad stuff kind of originate off of this. So that could indicate some weakening here ultimately. You can get rotation in the short term. It looks like that might have happened there just east of Aspirin for a frame especially. But then weakening with the main complex, but maybe some wind coming off this line here again out ahead. That could even be an issue for areas like Tifton, Ocilla, and Fitzgerald. Could even knock down maybe, some power lines. So keep that in mind if you're in those areas. Even out ahead of what you see the area in red with the main activity, you could still have some problems. So keep that in mind there. Take that into consideration as we're kind of looking at things here. I know you see some of that lighter blue. That could be winds to 63 miles an hour according to the radar velocity product right now. So that's something to be very cautious of. And whenever thunder roars, you do want to go indoors in these type of situations. So just got to be really careful here. I know we have some other storm action further down here toward like Mitchell County. It's strong, not currently severe. But we're just kind of watching the overall picture here. And you just got to be mindful of these severe storms as we're looking. Just seek sitting inside that sturdy building. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Stay away from those windows, of course. So, again, just watching the situation carefully. We have more storms further over eastern Georgia that could be a threat to some of our maybe southeast Georgia counties later on, especially like Coffee County, Atkinson County. We'll be watching you guys there as well. So, those will be areas to watch as we look here later on. But again, I'm just continuing to give you the latest on what we're tracking right now. toward areas around Interstate 75 there. You see around Cloverdale and just south of Ashburn, especially watching some of the activity. Let me just check something real quick here on our correlation coefficient prior. I just want to look at some things. This checks for hail cores or in some cases tornadic debris it would detect. Didn't see any type of debris in there. I did maybe see a little bit of hail signature back in here. Yeah, it looks like maybe a hail signature in there west of Ashburn. And damage and winds are the main threat. But we could have some quarter-sized hail as well, according to the Weather Service. So there's your warning in this yellow box right here. We have Fitzgerald, Tipton, Ashburn, Ocilla, Ty, Mystic, Unionville, Phillipsburg, Worth, Terrell, Sycamore, Sumner, Rebecca, Amboy, over toward it looks like the Harding area as well in Aston, Georgia. So just something to kind of watch here as we're tracking the scenario. It is very important to take heed from all this. Let me go ahead and zoom back out just a little bit as I kind of monitor the situation. I know I'm just trying to let you know exactly what is going on here and give you the heads up. Let's go to the Alabama/Southwest Georgia activity. This is showing really strong earlier on in Southeast Alabama, and a warning got issued as you look back on velocity there in Barber County. Even have to go back a little further to see the really, that was really intense right before that warning came out, actually. It was the Birmingham Weather Service area, but it's moved more in toward Tallahassee Weather Service area here. And some of the, frames after that, at least kind of approaching that boundary and on it now, as we're looking at the activity. That's weakened a good bit, so that's good news. Of course, this storm around Troy has really strengthened, and it really shows some nasty wind potential there in Pike County out of our area. That'd probably stay west of the viewing circle, and so we're not as concerned about that right now. This we'll watch, so we've got to be careful because some stuff can strengthen, as we've already seen. But right now, this is the most concerning here on Ashburn to southwest of town. Maybe some of the stronger wind, though anywhere in there, it could be pretty strong along this line, honestly. Seeing some pretty intense activity, and even out ahead, that could be pretty strong wind that could cause problems as well in that boundary. And then we have other acts in here. I know we have some of these storms here, and I guess you could call it Central Georgia, really. Dodge, Telfair, Wheeler counties. You see around Toombs and Montgomery outside of our area again, but you can kind of see here, looking at some of the activity. Let's go ahead and switch to the Charleston radar. Now we'll be watching stuff around like Stark tomorrow. There's a marginal risk, but not really seeing that risk tonight as much toward the south. I'll see you the risk area here in a moment, but watching some of that action there further over, we'll see how far that holds together, where that tracks there, as we are, in that sunset time frame now. But pretty late activity really, but it's a little bit different pattern than we've been seeing. Technically, I'll show it to you here. Technically, there is a marginal risk here. Later on in the night around Stark and Jacksonville. The bigger stuff probably is tomorrow. I mean, that'll be after midnight anyway. So that would be tomorrow, but I was meaning more during, daytime hours, possibly tomorrow. But as you see the yellow area, we have a risk. We even have around Tallahassee. I'd still be watching as well. I know, you ain't close to a watch area. You really got to be careful when Gadsden County is under the severe thunderstorm watch. As we'll pull that back on here in that pink color there until 2 a.m. You gotta remain alert for changing weather conditions. These changes could be pretty rapid, so just gotta be mindful of that there as we're tracking things, as we're giving you the very latest. So, just trying to keep you informed here. I know getting some viewer questions here toward areas. Let's go around Panama City. Matt is asking that there next few hours, how bad will I get around Panama City? Well, let me just go ahead and do a little zoom out. You guys on around Bay County are under a severe thunderstorm watch to 1 a.m. Central Time there. So let me go ahead and take that off for a minute. Take the current radar off. We'll leave the warnings and lightning up. And let me go ahead and kind of zoom here with our system a little bit further up toward the north, just a tad. And I'll go ahead and kind of pull on 9 o'clock and watch the radar simulation. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but this can give you an idea of what could happen. That's 10 p.m. You see some of this maybe getting closer to areas like Moultrie there. and, eventually Thomasville, you have Austin there, Bainbridge in there, that could be around 11 o'clock tonight. And then midnight, you see some action, maybe encroaching around Tallahassee, on Tallahassee. As you look here, you can see Big Bend region around 2 a.m. Tracking things. Let me take the temperature off too. I know I'm used to looking at stuff that's maybe a little more cluttered, but it might be easier for the viewer to understand it. Panama City stuff may break up for you guys for a while. Maybe later in the night you get something. We'll see. And you see some reorganization. According to this model, running the nighttime nocturnal hours. I mean, this is 6 a.m. Maybe some stronger storms in the Big Bend. We'll see. 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Getting out toward noon, 1 o'clock. You see some stuff maybe popping up toward like Dixie, Levy counties, Union County in there maybe. As we're kind of looking at things, Alachua County as well. So we'll be kind of tracking the situation here as the timeline does go along. So again, I'm just trying to give you the very latest here as things do progress. So we're just going to kind of monitor things here and give you the latest. So let's go ahead and kind of go back over radar. I know we had all that dry air in here, but now the pattern is becoming one here. I'll take the radar back off for a second. Let me go ahead and kind of get some things set up here. Let me go ahead and go to water vapor. We still have some dry air around, and that's, that can sometimes actually, be involved here in getting some severe weather going. So we got to keep that in mind here too. You can kind of get some things, contrasting of air masses that can be problematic here in some regards. So now let me go ahead and look at things here in terms of the event we're discussing from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. I'll put that on the screen here for you. That blue circled area, they're saying the wind damage potential will remain possible for the next 1 to 3 hours before a gradual weakening trend will become increasingly likely. So modestly organized clusters, linear segments continue across southern portions of Alabama and Georgia. Within the last half hour, 37 knots was the highest measured gust at Warner Robins. And it looks like along with a few wind damage reports. The strongest effective shear remains across the western portion of this activity. The linear organization has been greater farther east. The expectation is for wind damage to remain possible over the next 1 to 3 hours between, just these, next few hours here before we have diurnal stabilization that weakens the activity. This is likely the Gulf breeze front that's being sown moving north there, and some brief intensification and maybe some storm development, and redevelopment gets going as the outflowing storms interact with the front. So let's go ahead and kind of see if we can show that to you a little bit. I'll see if I can find that boundary they're talking about there. I know we have to go to a different radar for that. I'm trying to pull that up for you guys at home. I think I kind of, yeah, okay, I see it on our other mode now. Yeah, we'll kind of, I'm going to go to the other radar here because that radar probably would show it better. Let me see. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see some of the different boundaries here. So there, you see the one going south, and that's an outflow, storm action weakening. That's a sign of that. But then you see another boundary here coming up from the south, and once that hits things, it could cause some strengthening here for a little bit. So we'll watch that very carefully as we go back to the other radar perspective for now. Again, just trying to give you the very latest here on the ongoing situation. I know you can kind of see there's shifting that wind direction there as we try to watch this. You can also see the instability. Well, you have some of that input around, so you got to be mindful of that. And then let's look at some of the dew points here. You can kind of watch that pattern. They're pretty high, especially further south here. Temperatures kind of behind this boundary, not seeing a big difference necessarily, as we're tracking things. But you're watching, it's just still August. I know, not gonna be that cool as we're looking, but it was pretty cool yesterday morning. 63 here, East Historic in a more rural area, but let's go ahead and track some things here. We just got a newborn and not in our area, but that's somewhere around Troy. Not heading toward our area at any point, it doesn't look like, unless maybe it somehow gets into the Big Bend late tonight somehow, or it forms, further off. But let me go ahead and kind of show you guys here. We'll kind of show you some different products if we can. Let me go ahead and I'm just gonna I'm looking Liberty County, might get that later on, but it's some pretty nasty hail indications around Troy. This is in Alabama though, and it's accident that could be, producing some golf ball sized hail moving south at 40 miles an hour. So that's something to be mindful of. Okay, and as we're looking at things, and then we're just seeing the slight risk to marginal risk. It's not really a full tornado risk. Hail risk is actually further over, but in your wind risk, the newest updates coming on in there from the Storm Prediction Center Norman. Still says a little bit something further down, but really mostly going to be a South Georgia thing. It would look like, again, maybe the Big Bend gets a warning or two later on tonight. That's definitely not out of the question. There's a watch for Gadsden County. But it's a pretty late night thing here. Hopefully these storms end up kind of weakening on off, hopefully later on, but it's kind of a little uncertain. We'll see. As you look around Troy, you can see that hail indication, but again, that's staying west of the area, which is good, and we have this other accent. It looks weaker on that mode. This accent here is becoming a little bit more interesting in some ways. Down there around Camilla, it looks a little stronger now. Let's see. I'm kind of loosen things. Yeah, we have a boundary coming off of it, though. Let me go ahead and look at this. Okay, so we're watching that around Mitchell County and watching the situation carefully there. You see Sylvester. It's about 50 miles an hour around Sylvester in Worth County. A warning's up to the north, though, where we're seeing indications around Tula of winds closer to 56 miles an hour. There's a 62 mile an hour pixel in there. That could be an issue around Tula, northern Tift County along I-75. And then as we look here further over to the east, we're tracking the scenarios here on Fitzgerald, Ben Hill County. We'll be watching some of this moving toward your area, but you're already getting the boundary. That could still be causing some problems. We already had a history of this, around Cuthbert earlier on. We had some wind damage from the boundary coming off the storm. So don't discount that there. You could be seeing some damaging conditions along this line coming on through right now. And that's headed right into toward Tipton here. Maybe not quite as definitive as the one earlier, though the radar distance, from that boundary could make it look different. Weaker one way there, potentially. But, I would say that boundary there, could be producing some wind damage still even. I know we still have some river flood warnings too, so don't really need the rain here to ward some of our rivers like the Swanee River, the Santa Fe River. We're going to have some rain come up. It's going to be a stormier pattern later on in the ward time period. Potentially, we'll be getting that, full update late Tuesday and the like. But just be aware as we see a new warning popping up now. Just came in from the Weather Service, was that area I was talking about. They're now more concerned about it. The Weather Service in Tallahassee, they're tracking things and monitoring the scenario here. And they've issued a new warning all the way to 10 o'clock now. So this stuff becoming a little bit more of a concern. Southeastern Dougherty County, Mitchell County, Central Baker County, Northwestern Thomas County. Looking over to our Colquitt County as we kind of watch things. Southwestern Tift County, Southern Worth County. And so that warning until 10 o'clock. At 8:56, if the thunderstorms are located along a line there extending from the Pullen area to 6 miles south of Newton, moving east at about 25 miles an hour. Newton, Moultrie, Sylvester, Pelham, Camilla, Tipton. You have areas like Norman Park in there, Ty, Sale City, Sumner, Sylvester Airport. You kind of get the idea. Definitely something to be kind of cognizant of, something to be kind of mindful here as we're looking at the ongoing situation. So, again, just trying to keep you informed here, trying to let you know the latest details on everything as it evolves. It's about keeping everybody safe here. Going through the latest, damage to trees, roofs, siding, power lines, just all possibility there as we monitor the scenario. So just gotta be staying safe out there. I know seeing some different areas here of concern. Again, around Tula, but even this line here could be a problem because of that wind damage out ahead. Definitely could be a concern. You see Moultrie there in Colquitt County, Pelham there in Mitchell County. You have Tift County there, Tipton. And definitely something to be mindful of. Gotta be cognizant there. Let me go ahead and get over to an overview again for folks just joining us here as we approach the top of the hour. And we'll go ahead and put the watch back on here until 2 a.m. That's what's going on there as we track things, as we watch it. Try to give you the very latest here, folks. Try to give you the very latest on exactly what's going on. Try to keep you informed. Let me go ahead here and see what else we want to tell you guys here. Okay, so it's the top of the hour. We're tracking things, not turning over red or anything like that. We have a severe thunderstorm watching the pink until 2 a.m. We have these yellow polygons, which are severe thunderstorm warnings. Right now, it's 2 of them in our area, but actually, I have a good little line of warnings now. If you count the one toward Charleston, well, actually, okay, that'd be Peachtree City Weather Service office there around McRae, Georgia. No, these over here, Vidalia, would be Charleston. No, okay, that's Peachtree City as well. Let's try again. This one over here toward Bryan County and the like would be areas, like around Statesboro. That's Charleston, which, I know that's in the Savannah TV market. We have Statesboro, some issues there, it sounds like. But, so this warning here is Charleston jurisdiction, but the Vidalia one is actually Peachtree City, McRae, Georgia, Peachtree City, and the one for Dodge, Telfair, and Wilcox is also Peachtree City, and we don't cover Peachtree City or any of those counties or any Charleston counties there. We cover the Tallahassee counties. We cover many of those. We cover most of the Jacksonville ones as we look down this here, and we cover one of the Tampa, Ruskin ones. That's Levy County there. Now we'll go to coverage map real quick and I'll zoom out before I switch, but again, just continue to track things here. So, we're in Bradford County. I know all the counties there really, as you look east of Madison and Taylor, those, with the exception of Levy, of course, those really are your Jacksonville, Weather Service counties, and that's for Florida. You can see Tallahassee ones are Taylor, Madison, West, and in Georgia, it's split off there. You have Eccles, that's Jacksonville, Clinch is Jacksonville, but then Lanier and Lowndes are Tallahassee Weather Service responsibility counties. So that's kind of how it breaks down there as we're tracking things. But let's go ahead and go back on over here to our other map. So we have this Tallahassee office, our area. Of course, there's some Alabama counties and Florida counties we don't cover in Tallahassee jurisdiction, and a few in Georgia that we don't cover for the Jacksonville area, like as you look up toward zones there closer toward Baxley and the like, and in Bacon County. But you have Tipton, Fitzgerald, that's a warning. You have the Camilla, Moultrie, that's a warning in our area. But then these here, Jacksonville, Georgia, McRae, Georgia, those are Peachtree City office area responsibility county zones. But again, you can see here on Camilla watching some nasty activity. Let's go back to the other mode because we have that boundary on here, and it might, be a little bit, easier to kind of see the threat here in that regard. Then, as we go ahead and track things, as we monitor the situation there, try to give you the very latest, try to keep you safe and informed. Again, making sure that we're on top of everything for you guys. Let me take off some of these special weather statements. Try to clean that view up a little bit for you at home as we're tracking things, as we keep you there informed. Again, just trying to monitor everything here for you. So again, tracking our warnings here. You see around Fitzgerald, Ocella, Tipton, Chula. Watching this potential for some damaging winds as the scenario does go along. It's got to be cognizant of it all. Let's go back to another view here of things. Again, tracking that line, of the activity. Just, be inside, away from windows. That's where you want to be in this type of scenario. Again, just trying to let you guys know what we're dealing with. Let me see here if I can kind of get a little loop together. Let me see what I can do with this. Bear with me. You can kind of see here that loop. Some of the activity dipping off toward the south and the east. So we'll be monitoring all of that here. You see we had these yellow boxes starting to pop up along it as it gets further over. So that's been something worth monitoring. Definitely worth tracking. Trying to give you the latest, keep you guys informed, give you a heads up and the like. As I'll go ahead and go back up here. We're going to go ahead and let's see where we want to go now. I'm just kind of looking at the overall weather map, zooming on out a bit. A good bit, obviously. You see some other areas with severe thunderstorm watches. I mean, that's flash flood danger toward the northeast today as well. Flash flood emergency toward parts of Connecticut. And as you look up there, just the catastrophic flood situation for some of those folks. This level of flooding is something you don't see in that part of the country very often. Fairfield and New Haven counties in southern Connecticut, some areas seeing 10 inches of rain. Catastrophic flooding there. You just hate seeing that. Thoughts and prayers to those impacted as light rain still falls in that area. You see some flood danger in New York City as well. Now, that would be a base flash flood warning right toward New York City and Yonkers. So at least it's not considered more catastrophic. The life-threatening one in play just toward the west here. Patterson there and the like. They've seen a decent amount of rain. Redderson 3 or 4 inches over that way. So watching that, and as we look further back down, we take a tour here. You see some of these areas around Vandalia picking up inch and a half or so. Areas, in our area there, less amount so far. We have around a half inch in parts of Dougherty County, half inch there on Ashburn. Some of the areas just west of there, closer to 3/4, maybe even an inch, because it's going to underdo it a little bit probably, especially, with these heavy downpours, and just initially some of that data still kind of loading in as some moisture still accumulates in some of these different communities. So keep that in mind. We saw a new warning pop in. That's not in our area. That's a new warning for Telfair, Willer, and Montgomery counties, though. And if that warning were to get extended, that would start to creep into like Coffee County, though. And the next round of warning potential, maybe. So a lot of warnings here along this line. I mean, that line now, there's a little break, but I mean, that line here has warnings for most of, that's 175 miles or so. So, from south, west there to northeast. So, watching that carefully, watching that scenario very carefully here, being very mindful of that. You can kind of see where the threat should kind of diminish to some degree, weaken to some degree right off that areas around Bacon County in Georgia, but it's not a given. And we'll track it here for you as it is warranted in toward the weather center. So let's go back over to our reader velocity mode right now. When we pop that back on, you can kind of see here some of these blues here, per se, light blues, light greens, whatever you want to call them, whites here, a 60-mile-an-hour wind showing up on this. As we're kind of looking at our Doppler velocities, you can kind of see here where I had the cursor, that's some pretty significant wind east of Bridgeboro, Georgia right now. Got to be cognizant of that. I know this boundary out ahead could be an issue as well. And then we're watching some of this stuff maybe for Coffee County as we look ahead in the timeline, whether it's this area here, this area further up toward Telfair County and the like. I know, just trying to give you the heads up as we're in middle part of August now. We're starting to get in a little bit different pattern. It's interesting because we honestly have had a calmer summer in some ways, in terms of not having maybe as many afternoon storms. I know we had our hurricane a couple weeks ago with Debbie, though, and now this squall line accent here, if you want to kind of call that, in mid-August, a little bit interesting, a little bit of an anomaly in some ways. Maybe you'd expect this a little bit earlier, a little bit later on here. I mean, there's not much of a tornado threat at all. Not completely zero, but there's not much of one now. So you'd almost expect it's a little bit earlier on, maybe in summer, or as you're kind of looking at things. I mean, when I say summer, of course, sometimes we think of a little different because of back to school. We kind of think, well, summer is almost over, but this type of line's a little bit, less common, maybe in mid-August, maybe something like you would see in early July or something. More of that, effect there as we look at the impacts here from things. Okay, new warning again now. This is for Ben Hill, Berry, and Irwin, Lanier, and Tipton. Tilton is going to pop up here in just a second. Again, watching the scenario, tracking it here for you. And we'll see that polygon pop in here. It's going to be down in here to some degree. You see where my cursor is. So that's our new warning. Of course, Jacksonville is responsible for issuing for Coffee and Atkinson. That's why the polygon's a little bit unusual there. So 10 o'clock, that warning goes. Severe thunderstorms are located along the line extending from near Jacksonville, Georgia, to 7 miles northwest of Ambrose to near Ocilla to near Phillipsburg, moving east at 45 miles an hour. Fitzgerald, Tipton, Ocilla, Enigma, Tai, over toward Alapaha, Mystic, Unionville, Phillipsburg. We have Harding, we have Aston, we have Irwinville, we have the Vanceville area under this. Hail threat not as big in this, but wind could be to 60, and that is what we call the damaging criteria in the meteorology world. That's when you start having more damage occur there. As you look, trees and power lines, that threshold really starts to show damage accumulating, a lot more often at that wind level. That's why the warnings get issued when you have that as 50 knots, which is 58 miles an hour, but generally we always kind of say 60 here in meteorology, so a little easier to understand because this is just an estimate anyway. But 50 knots is where you have that damage potential, which is the potential for 58-mile-an-hour winds. It's kind of rounded to 60 here just to help, avoid confusion, but that's kind of just the idea there. That's really showing some intense wind there, just southwest of Tipton. I mean, that's showing wind to 60 miles an hour. 63 miles an hour there, right along State Road 256. Again, this is above the surface, a few thousand feet, so it's not an exact indication of what's going on at the surface, and that's why we depend on, anemometers and the like to get an idea of what's going on closer to the surface. I mean, anemometer like 30 feet or something, can really be helpful, especially, I look at some of these others here, I know we had to guess to 43 around Albany earlier on and the like. So just continuing to give you the latest. Details here. I know, trying to keep you informed, try to keep you up to date on everything that's happening. I know, these areas here, I mean, not as, much of an impact overall from Debbie. And most of these communities, I say that, of course, we had a fatality there, in South Georgia. That was just tragic. But overall, most of these areas here further over southwest, south central Georgia, not impacted as much by Debbie as our areas further off toward the south. So, of course, we had our storm there, a Category 1 hurricane, make landfall there. 2 weeks ago tomorrow, that 2 week anniversary, if you want to call it that, of the storm hitting around Steinhatchee. They're staying dry right now. But what a storm that was there. As we look at currently seeing new gusts 50-mile-an-hour wind report from a roof-mounted anemometer in Colquitt County. We're just talking about getting, reports there of wind potential. See if they come to fruition. And we just got a 50-mile-an-hour gust on an anemometer and/or parts of Colquitt County. That'll be, it looks like, around New Elm. And let's go ahead and kind of zoom in here then. See what we kind of have. I know New Elm, what's up on here. It's a small community. I kind of, I'm not sure it will, but, with this other boundary there, it's always possible to be out ahead. But, yeah, so let me double check that. Maybe, I think it'll be in our other system as a report. Yeah, that'll help me. So let's go ahead and do that. So yeah, right here's where we had that gust. So kind of maybe on that edge there. Let me look. It's right around Sigsbee. Yeah, right. On that edge of the red then probably. Let me go ahead and kind of switch to another radar product again. So right in there, about that time on radar, that wind right on the edge of this convection. Then I'm hoping between this boundary out ahead and then maybe a 50 reading that we may be seeing more like 50 winds. It's hard to differentiate when you're seeing warnings though. If it's going to be 50 wind, which wouldn't quite be meeting the severe criteria, if the wind's over to 60, which could be more damaging. So you kind of have to issue here. This area looks more, intense in this area anyway. So that's another reason to kind of be thinking it, winds could be 10 miles an hour stronger in this vicinity here, like in southeastern parts of Worth County, western parts of Tipp County, and the like. So I know it's not exactly relevant directly to what we're talking about. We still have river flood warnings being updated down toward the south. I know we had all those power outages from Debbie 2 weeks ago. Some portions of our area, even from Debbie, really taking it on the chin there. I mean, areas, even across city. Granted, the cleanup's been pretty good there. I mean, I was looking down in Levy County, taking a little trip over there, and wasn't too terrible. I mean, there's definitely some lingering issues in Cedar Key, but in Chiefland, it wasn't too bad over there looking at things. But still, folks hate being impacted by storms. And real quick, let's go ahead and take a look back from a couple weeks ago during our Debbie coverage of some of those power flashes, that we were experiencing live on the air. So, again, that's the storyline there. Oh, I think we just had another power flash. Another power flash. Just wanted to pull that up for you guys at home real quick to give you an idea. Look back at that situation as we continue to watch the warnings in Georgia right now. Let me go ahead and kind of jump up over here. You can see around Tipton. Showing you guys the storyline. 60-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, let's go ahead and kind of give you an idea here. I mean, that kind of right down here, that's, areas there right around tight now, but crossing the interstate here pretty soon. Maybe winds that could knock a tree down onto the interstate even. It's not out of the question. If not big limbs, so definitely possible. And that could be, a hazardous impact for those driving here. It's not a tornado situation, so it's not, just a complete all call that you can't be driving right now, but, in that stretch of the interstate. But if you are driving, you need to be very careful here. It'd be preferred that you're not, especially since it is nighttime now. It is dark, so it's going to make it harder to see what's going on here in these communities. Again, we have a slew of warnings here in south central Georgia. We have areas, around Camilla we're watching. It looks like that wind report was from about 20 minutes ago. I'll be curious to see if that kind of updates on us here. Anything higher, it probably would be somewhat higher. Let's hope it doesn't go in the 50s or 60s, especially because that would be indicative of some more concern as we're tracking things. But and that's pretty high elevation on that site. So let's go ahead and keep looking at things, keep monitoring the situation here. Just kind of checking some of our different data. Again, trying to keep you safe. So again, tracking these warnings. You have Ocilla. We have this warning there in Irwin County. I'm trying to give you the latest. Just stay safe there in Irwin County. I know, just trying to see what's going on. You know, we have areas further down toward the south here. Pelham, you getting into some of this. It's these different communities, Norman Park, Moultrie. Right on I-75 there, around El Dorado, or Dorado, depending on how you pronounce that. In that community, Enigma. Again, some nasty storms in South Georgia. Let's get back on over here. This stuff right now looks like it's breaking more to the west. Doesn't mean it couldn't kind of reform over, but, and then, you know, that could be something. We talked about Panama City. Well, I know the models not showing it very well there, but they weren't showing it very well. But this is moving south at 40, so in theory, if they head all the way together toward Panama City, it'd be there in about 2 hours. So that's something to watch for Matt there, who's watching our viewer on YouTube. One of you guys watching there in that Bay County region with interest there. That'd be there in about 2 hours if it holds together. There's a watch, so it's possible it does. I kind of in this pattern, not sold that it will, but it could. Again, as we look here toward east of Mobile, we'll be watching that toward Pensacola maybe, or just, areas like Gulf Shores later on. Of course, this stuff we're watching toward Valdosta, Adel, in our area, Douglas, and the like here. And even, Valdosta, maybe later on we shall see as we continue to give you the very latest. I know one thing is kind of out there a little bit, but I'll go ahead and put this out there per se. I know we have viewers watching all over the region. Let me go ahead and pull our coverage map up because this it kind of applies here just as a broad brush, because I know we had really nice weather for the, in our South Georgia counties, for the start of high school football regular season in Georgia, and in North Florida it was a scrimmage, action per se, preseason action, kickoff classics, and the like. So again, so the weather was really good. This Friday night, it may not be as good. I mean, it won't be as good. It's just a matter of there's impacts to the games or not in terms of delays. I know we also had those. As I'm just kind of just looking at our map here, of course, here East Coast, we have direct current risk though we've seen from Ernesto that impacted Bermuda, Hurricane Ernesto, but that dry air influence was helping us have the nice weather for Friday night games as we were looking back. But this Friday night, well, the rain chance, the storm chance is pretty high. It'd probably be something, it could change, but I would say right now I'd lean toward it being 60+% for Friday here across our area, where it'd be red on our 7-day graphic. So that'd be problematic, obviously, for games, maybe having some postponements and the like even. So not, maybe when I say postponements, that might mean a couple of them get pushed off to the next morning, but others maybe just a delay, and then you can kind of get to the, storm action and be ready to resume. So again, just something to kind of bear in mind there as we're looking at things. We're just gonna go ahead and keep that in the back of our mind, because gonna have more moisture come into play. So this we haven't, we had our, Thursday off here, so we weren't on then. I just want to give you that early heads up that, Friday, this past Friday was really nice for those kickoff classics, the preseason games per se in Florida and in Georgia for the first week of regular season action. But our South Georgia communities. I know there were some issues in other parts of the Peach State, but for the games this Friday, it might not be so nice as we're looking at things. That FSU will be playing in Ireland, and well, as we're looking over there, I know some of the guidance has been showing what's left for Ernesto kind of going in that direction. That's something we're not honestly used to following too much is weather in Ireland here, but I'll try to look at some stuff here to try to get a better idea of what could happen later on in the week. Generally, this time of year, just look at some things that very broad brush, a little bit cooler, kind of wetter. Could be the storyline there, but we shall see as we're kind of looking at things for FSU football. So we'll just kind of track things here in that regard. Try to give you the latest. I'm always trying to break things down for you here on Cloud Weather. Just trying to keep you informed. I'm just kind of checking some things here. I know it's always important to do this, that. Again, let's go back though as I'm doing a couple things here. Let me go ahead, switch on over toward another mode. I know we're always watching stuff, in that game, FSU football in Ireland. We'll see how the weather could transpire there. But high school football Friday night, not everybody's going to have problems. But some areas, it's like pretty high likelihood that there will be some issues here for some folks Friday night in our 62 counties. Whether it's delays, maybe, for a little bit, folks have to go to the car and then come back, or, again, stuff could be postponed to the next morning or something like that. But it's a little early, a little hazy in the timeline. At least we're not watching any local tropical threats as of now for the next 7 days. That's good, but things can always change quick. But we are watching these storms here in Georgia. You can see here I-75 is off toward the east, and that's a pretty nasty wind signature there northwest of Lenox right now. Probably gonna get another new warning here. This stuff's really been, getting its act together here over the last little bit and, kind of sustaining itself. I was hoping, since we weren't getting a slew of warnings there earlier on, we had a boundary coming off of that, and maybe we would just have a pattern where stuff just wouldn't be able to have enough to it to sustain itself and be a problem, but unfortunately we're getting enough of that wind potentially under the surface to be problematic. So again, that's what we're dealing with right now. As you're looking toward areas like Moultrie, you see northeast of Norman Park, watching some of that wind potential as we kind of go ahead and watch here. That's definitely cause for concern there. We'll see if we get some more new warnings here. Some of this looks a little weaker further up. I know it could be the way the angle of the radar is hidden things. Let's go ahead and kind of look from the north. See what the winds look like from the north. The view of it anyway. Just kind of watching some stuff. I know we're having an update on a warning in Alabama where there's been some observed problems. Let's see. That looks pretty wicked there. Not hitting the water area as of now, I wouldn't think. They're saying this is observed hail to quarter size. I will say it's kind of interesting because they're now trying to track this east all of a sudden. Did we have a shift in direction on this? I don't really think so. They might have just made a mistake because that's at least, maybe southeast, but it's not headed east. I know they put east in the polygon, but that's a miscue there. But it would look like, unless I'm missing something. Just trying to see why are they tracking it off toward the east? It would be southeast there on that. I mean, I'll put our track on, and that's definitely southeast. So sometimes, a lot going on there, and they're trying to take that up, and that should indicate southeast really, or even south would be more, more than east. So again, I just tracking that there. Let's go ahead and get back on over here toward our axis. That's not in our area. If it was headed east, then that would come in toward our area. But that's not really what's happening right now. It doesn't look like it. I know sometimes, especially earlier, in the scatter in the summertime axis, you can have stuff switch directions real quick. But this type of pattern, you wouldn't really have that necessarily. So that's why I just wanted to double check though. But again, you can kind of see here. Let's go ahead and look. East there, Norman Park, you see some winds to about 60 miles an hour. West of Lenox there, that potential. I know we're just going to be continuing to watch all that for you here in the Weather Center. You know, we don't stay on for all the severe thunderstorm warnings though, so if you start seeing a reduction in the potential and the number of warnings, then we might wrap it up and we'll just post that needed on the different platforms here. Of course, we are on for every tornado warning storm we went through the 62 counties. Not really expecting that, you know, potentially really come into play, but we'll watch things that, you know, here and monitor them. But there's a different platforms. Look, a new warning, by the way, now. But Facebook, Casey, Cloud, React, Cloud Weather. And we have Twitter / X at Cloud Casey that we're on posting stuff as needed. So let's go ahead and kind of see this new warning. This is to 11 o'clock now. And this goes all the way in North Florida. So this is a long, you know, fused warning, you know, both in terms of geography and in terms of, you know, just the timeline. So northeastern Madison County and the Big Bend of Florida, Cook County and south central Georgia. You have central Berrien County and south central Georgia. Lanier County in that area of Georgia. Lowndes County. Northern Thomas County. Brooks County. Colquitt County. You kind of get the idea until 11 o'clock. Let's zoom in here. So at 9:28, so that thunderstorms looking along the line, extending from near Lenox to near Moultrie, near Ocklackney, moving southeast at 35 miles an hour. Nashville, over toward Moultrie, Adel, Valdosta, Madison, Lake Park, Lakeland there, of course, in Georgia, Quitman, Hyrule, Sparks, Boston, Ray City, Norman Park, Lenox, Ocklackney, I-75 Exit 16, and Moody Air Force Base, all within this polygon. So some wind damage, some power outages from time to time, a possibility. Adel, folks watching there, go ahead and take action as we continue to track the situation. Let me go ahead and check some power outage numbers real quick. Get an idea maybe what's going on here in the Word of Peach State. Let me go ahead and see what we're doing with it. There's been a decent number, unfortunately, of power outages in this state. Not necessarily too many in our area, but let me go ahead and kind of see what we're doing with here, you know, as the situation does progress. Let me just go ahead and kind of pull up some more maps. I know over there, according to Power.us, we are tracking some power outages in areas like Randolph County, 633 customers in the dark. Clay County, Georgia, 73. Baker County, Georgia, 74. 497 in Worth County, Georgia, 443 in Irwin County. So you kind of get the idea of what's going on there as the situation does progress. Again, just trying to let you know here. New warning now. So we have, looks like here, that's one warning in our area. That is 2, and that's an extension of that, so that's 3. We'll have to watch some other areas to get extensions here further up as well, potentially. You know, and this radar view didn't show it as strong up there, though. It could be the angle, way things are hidden. This is definitely strong around Moultrie. I mean, this sun went to about 50. I could still knock down a tree there, or 2 or 3, you know, and some power lines there around Moultrie as well. And then this here sun went to about 60, closer toward Lenox, maybe moving closer toward Adel here, potentially over the next little bit. They seem to get pretty, you know, hard hit there from time to time around Adel. This may not be a big hard hit for them, but still could be an issue for them. So you got to keep that in mind as we're watching you guys around Adel there in Cook County. So Cook County, Georgia, you see 60-mile-an-hour winds in this area that I'm zooming in on, this whitest area. Definitely tracking that for you here. Trying to keep you informed. I know. We'll see if Jackson will need to issue some warnings further off. It's hard to say. I would, right now, just let me see if they put the advisory on this. Yeah, kind of would stick with advisories for the moment once we get some more report, I have a feeling the radar could be kind of obscuring things. It might actually be a little stronger up there. It is still pretty strong on the radar from the north here. Now, honestly, that's even like showing a little bit of wind shear in there. So be a little careful with that. It's pretty high up though. I just feel like the winds could be stronger than what radar is leading us to believe in that little segment of things. But yeah, if we're not getting too many reports or anything, it might be okay. But just the advisories is kind of tricky there. But let's go ahead and see with this. I mean, this is pretty clear cut though. That's a damaging wind signature there. East of Norman Park. So gotta be mindful of that as we continue to track things. Try to keep you safe here on this Sunday night. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center, trying to protect you, your friends, your family here. Definitely some nasty activity moving on through, so you got to take precautions here, folks. Inside and away from windows, that's where you want to be. Let me go ahead and pull those precautions up here again for you guys at home, just to remind you of what you should do when it's a thunderstorm warning. I mean, just even when thunder roars, you need to go indoors anyway. This, can happen outside of severe thunderstorm warnings. But then 630 building, that's really important. Be away from windows. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So, again, just trying to let you know what's going on. Very important to do that. I'm going to keep checking our latest data. See if there's any new updates. I'm sticking with these because our radar views have really been sounding pretty consistent. Damaging wind threat here. It's not been, one little spot up and, completely off the view. It's been pretty consistent, some type of severe threat here. So having to stick with this. I mean, this is a little different than your typical summertime accident. This is more, honestly, what you would see, as I said, maybe a squall line in July or something. I mean, honestly, the impacts, though, even though this looks meteorologically, more like that. I mean, it's just not too dissimilar to a squall line and, in fall there or winter. It's just we're not seeing a tornado threat materialize off of it like what you could get that time of year a little more often. But again, just continue to track things here. We're trying to keep you safe. Again, let me go ahead, switch back on to some other things here. So you see the advisory further over. I know they've been playing. FSU has some soccer there tonight toward Leon County. Let me just check to see. I mean, I think they'll be good in terms of the timeline, but let me just check here. I see how things are going for that. I believe it's the regular season home opener. Okay, that ended a while ago, actually. So that's good. The Knowles won there, so that's good, too, as you're looking at things. Of course, I'm an FSU alum, so wow, they won 10-0 in soccer. Wow, you don't see that very often. But anyway, that was a victory there for FSU in soccer, as that ended. It looks like around 8 o'clock or so. So folks having plenty of time to get out of there as things do, look pretty good in that regard. Plenty of time to get out of there before any activity coming on in. So again, trying to give you the very latest, trying to let you know what we're dealing with. So again, you see some stuff up there north of Thomasville and north of Cairo, especially there in Grady County. That's showing some winds at about 50 miles an hour potentially. Again, just trying to let you know what we're dealing with. Again, looking there toward Cook County, down with this potential there on Adel. Okay, new warning now coming out. Okay, I think it's for this area I was just alluding to. Let's go to the Tallahassee radar. Yeah, that's strengthening there. So now Brooks, Decatur, Grady, and Thomas until 10:30. A severe thunderstorm warning's been issued in that direction. So you need to be inside and away from windows in that area there. As we're tracking things, you see Thomasville, in that threat area. We have Cairo in that threat area as well. So Gotta be tracking all that there. Gotta be monitoring that. Again, trying to inform you guys, the viewers. Again, you can see that wind potential. It's going to be on Cairo here in just a few minutes. Be inside and away from windows in Cairo and Grady County. You have Thomasville there in Thomas County. Of course, we're watching on I-75 Adel, Hira, Valdosta. And we're going to have to be careful for you guys as well. Okay, another new warning now. This is just outside of the area. It's from the Jacksonville Weather Service, but it's a couple of the counties they don't cover out of their jurisdiction. It's for Jeff Davis and Appling counties. So I know the Tallahassee radar not going to really say that very good. But let me go ahead and switch over to the northern radar view off of Robbins, and you can kind of see some of that there. You can see some of that potential there. Eventually, you know, it might try to clip some more northern areas, that segment. It may just go north too, though. That's something to watch for, though, as we continue to give you the latest. I know, just trying to keep you informed. Try to let you know exactly what we're dealing with. Very important to do that. Again, making sure you guys are staying safe. So again, let me go ahead here. Try to give you the latest on things. We're here just to make sure that you guys understand what we're dealing with. So again, 9:40 on this Sunday, this August 18th, 2024. We're just trying to let you know we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in South Georgia. A little bit of that dipping into Florida now, though. And around Thomasville, north of Cairo, that's really now selling winds about 58 miles an hour. Granted, this may not be the closest radar. It probably wouldn't be. Let me see, Tallahassee would definitely be a little closer. So more indicative winds to the surface. And guess what? That's showing some pretty significant strengthening as well. It's also showing winds at about 58 miles an hour. So that could be damaging wind there, you know, coming right into Cairo there in the next few minutes in Grady County. Thomasville under a warning as well. We're not seeing quite as significant of wind coming into your vicinity at the moment, but we always have to remain alert here for rapidly changing weather conditions as we go ahead and keep looking at things here on different radar views. And then when I switch radar just to get the best view for the warned area, you know, I'm talking about at that moment, you know, the specific warned area, because if you get a lower view on the tilt, you can see things better, to, you know, in terms of maybe what's going on actually at the surface. So, you know, give us a better idea of what could be causing damage, you know, or have that damage potential. So, again, that's important to kind of keep in mind here. Very important to kind of keep in mind as we're tracking things. Again, letting you guys know what we're dealing with. Very important. Again, we're just trying to keep you guys safe. So locally we have 1, 2, 3. That's 4 warnings. Let me make sure that's the extent of it. I'm just gonna check here. That one warning that goes to Valdosta, that's a big polygon, to be quite honest. Looks like 4 in our area right now. But that could always, you know, change here. Obviously, it will change as things, you know, get newly issued or expire. So, again, let me just go ahead and go through some things here. Super composites up there pretty high, honestly. As we continue to watch things, continue to track them. Try to let you know what we're dealing with. Let me do something else here. I want to just say, I know I haven't really talked about it too much, but we have our tropical cyclone out here. It's been bouncing between a hurricane and a tropical storm. See if this satellite goes all the way out. It barely does. So let me go ahead and take off our severe thunderstorm warning. This is not, you know, what we're showing you out here, but so this is one view as I try to give you the latest. There's your infrared. There's a full view. We just passed off from Bermuda, and then as we look here, this pattern's interesting because we do have dry air that's been poured in on the backside. Granted, you know, we were having more, you know, impacts from that here earlier on around our area, but it's kind of moving away now, retreating as we're looking. So again, let's go ahead and go back over here. Go through some different things. Trying to keep you safe. Very important to do that, obviously. Again, 9:44 is the time here on this Sunday night. Tracking the severe thunderstorm potential. And, you know, I mean, it is, you know, coming to fruition in some areas here. So again, just trying to give you the latest. Thanks so much for watching, Don, there over on Facebook. Appreciate that. As we go ahead and keep on looking here at the latest. You can see north of Cairo, winds at 58, maybe State Road 112. We have Adele. We have the winds at 55 miles an hour, so up in velocity coming in. I mean, this boundary ahead could have some pretty gusty winds as well. So that could cause some damage. Right now, no warnings around Douglas and Coffee County. It looks just a slightly bit weaker there, but we'll have to watch the trends as the situation evolves. So, again, we're watching things. Let me go back to Tallahassee River again. Another perspective. So this is all coming in there toward Cairo, as we are getting some breaking information now out of Mitchell County. So Mitchell County, it looks like now several calls have been made. The 911 call center there in the time frame, mostly around 9:15, that several trees have been knocked down. So that's throughout the county now. So I know we had some of that earlier on before we came on. Even we were posting about it, the potential up in our northwestern zones. Some of that was from the boundary accident, but now this is probably a little bit more, you know, a little more concentrated in some ways because of the actual storm accident causing it. You know, that has matured versus just being the boundary, knocking some things down further off toward the north and west. We've seen more issues since come on the air, obviously, here, as we're tracking some areas that are more populated being impacted. So, again, let's go ahead and keep looking at things. You can see around Douglas there, Coffee County. Just, you know, not too impressive, but you never know. Still could get a warning on that because the radar coverage isn't as good. I know we have the advisories here I'm pulling back on just to advise you that concern. We'll just have to continue to track things. Okay, new warning now. Let's go over here. This is going to be for parts of Seminole, Houston, and Jackson counties. The Seminoles in our area, Houston and Jackson, are not. I know these are closer to Ward in some cases, really. The Dothan TV market, obviously, Houston County, Alabama is where Dothan is. And it's probably for this area here. I know, and you know, Jackson County kind of gets more toward Panama City's market, per se, as we continue to watch things. I mean, Dothan will cover them to some degree because, you know, they're touching the counties do, but again, just continue to give you the latest. There's that polygon. It doesn't include much of our area, but there's that little sliver, very, very small sliver of the covered area in Seminole County under that till 10:45, northwestern Seminole County, but that's mainly an issue. You know, the worst of the impacts from this right now is to stay more just west of the area, but still got to be careful there. But that's another warning in our area of some degree as we go ahead and kind of zoom around here. A lot of lightning, you know, in that night sky. If you're watching from Tallahassee, I'm sure that looking north. And that's a lot of wind coming into toward Cairo there. I'm going to knock down some trees in Cairo in the next few minutes if it's not already starting to kind of do it right now. This outer, you know, boundary here, this outflow boundary, obviously, as we alluded to. But again, looking at the situation, you see parts of Colquitt County there, parts of Cook County. Again, a slew of warnings. Let's go ahead and check things. I know we have the severe thunderstorm watch till 2 a.m. These winds right now look like they could cause some damage in, you know, an isolated nature, but they look like they could be just under the severe threshold. Officially, still keep the warning. I'm sure these aren't weak enough to drop a warning because he could, you know, still have some damage and they could pump, you know, and pop right back up there. That's severe criteria right now. This is on like 53-mile-an-hour winds. As I look here, that Cairo one, I know I keep mentioning it for you guys, but both radars are showing that pretty clearly. That's severe wind. May even have a little bit of weak rotation on that. As we look, we have some of the reds kind of jumping up in color as well. There is even a little bit of, you know, a little bit of a notch there too. I don't think we're getting any type of tornadic development here, but we'll watch it as it moves right north Cairo here next several minutes. Because that Tallahassee radar is pretty close. It's showing up, you know, pretty prominently. Let's check the Fort Rucker radar. I mean, that's showing this strong wind coming into town. I mean, we're looking at this at multiple heights from multiple vantage points, multiple radar beams, and they're all showing problems here for Cairo next few minutes. That's pretty far there. But over the Robbins radar, let's go to, you know, the Moody Air Force Base radar. And that's showing some issues, but 5,000-6,000 feet up, and then this is only a couple thousand feet up, and it's showing the wind issue come right into Cairo. So problematic for you guys there. Be inside and away from windows, obviously, as we're looking at this. So the newest update. Okay, so warning till 10 o'clock. Canceling out Worth County, but continuing for Colquitt, Mitchell, Thomas, and Tips. So, again, just trying to let you know what's going on there. Very important to do that, obviously. So just watching these progressions. So this polygon, this is the one until 10 o'clock here. Meaning, you know, that's Jacksonville's responsibility to extend, and they're not issuing right now further off. As we continue to look here at things, continue to track, obviously. Continue to let you know here what we're doing with. Okay, so this morning here, this one goes all the way out until 11 o'clock tonight. The further back window is only going until about 10 o'clock. This one here goes to 10:30 for areas like Cairo, and this one on the fringe of the area till 10:45. And in Alabama, there's a report of a tree down there now. In Coffee County, that's coming on in. And a warning update till 10. Ben Hill's been canceled, but Marion, Irwin, Lanier, and Tip continue. So this one, you know, western areas, that's not something we would need to stay on for necessarily. Unless something changes, I'd say that it's starting to rotate a little. Let me double check that. Okay, that's not really rotating. When you get closer to the radar, it doesn't look like. Let me make sure. Going up and tilts a little because, yeah, it's a little bit of weak rotation, but that's staying just west of the area with the worst. Probably wouldn't need to stay on for that. We'll watch it. This is the one that, you know, right now says I need to stay on. I know we're on the radar further over. I'll switch. But and this one here, I mean, if it wasn't for what's further west, I don't know if I would stay on. Granted, there's a bit of weak rotation on some of this out ahead, it looks like, too. But And we see the other boundary there. I wonder if that's kind of trying to meet. It might be kind of hard to see, but that can sometimes cause issues. But I'm not seeing it as much on this radar view. 15-mile-an-hour winds, some issues, but I think that's weakening some. This is the area that makes me want to stay on the air here a little longer. Of course, when we go off, you can look at things on cloudweather.com/radar, and we'll post any new warnings here on Facebook there, as I was alluding to earlier on. That's Facebook, Casey Cloudy-Briacks and Cloud Weather, and then Twitter /Cloud Casey. We'll post all the new warnings if we're not on talking about them over there. Obviously, if there's any like tornado warnings, we'll all be on. I've always been on for all those over the last almost 5 years now, but that's on all the different platforms here. At this point, Facebook, Twitter /X, YouTube, Twitch, and the like. So, again, Cairo area, that's what concerned me coming right into town. I felt like this could cause some damage, some power outages. Just looking at some of our other products here. And it looks like a pretty clear hit on Cairo there in terms of causing some problems. Maybe not major damage, but I think there's going to be some damage there from this in Cairo. Some power line issues, possibly, some power outages. Trees down and the like. So maybe some minor roof damage we shall see. That's what kind of keeps me on the air right now. As we're looking at that, I know, just trying to give you the very latest. You look back over where they down. Let me just go ahead and check over here. So that's a little bit stronger now. So I went to about 55 miles an hour. Just, northeast side of town there with that little nod. That might help things. That area being on the edge like that could help it get down to the surface a little. We shall see. Let's go over here. Again, that looks a little messy, a bit concerning there. Coming into Cairo, you see that? Honestly, it looks like it's kind of on the east side of town right now. As we loop that around for you guys, it's the brighter colored. Maybe weakened just a little, but it's also getting closer to the radar. That's not far from the radar to be showing that type of wind. It's more likely to be going down toward the surface. No type of debris signature or anything. There's no tornado warning. Let me just make sure back out here. Yeah, no, we're not seeing anything that says a debris signature or anything. That's not what I'm really suggesting. A tornado or anything. It's just that the wind damage potential looks a little bit more, enhanced there. Looks more likely. And it is a more populated area too, and at night, where maybe we haven't had that many severe storms around lately, other than the hurricane, obviously, in some of our communities. But again, just continuing to watch it, looking for upscale growth. I know you're not probably sure what I'm showing. This is ZDR, but we're just kind of looking at some things, maybe some growth on that western edge. Let's see if that's kind of developing. I think it is showing some development out there. So yeah, some of that's filling on in there. Actually, that could be an issue for Tallahassee, maybe later on. That kind of fills in a little bit more. Not seeing a lot of wind energy right now, so we'll have to watch that. Again, trying to let you know what we're doing with. Again, some of this stuff wouldn't necessarily keep me on. 28 measured too, so they're not that high. 32 in there. They have a 50 gust in there further up, though, measured, and some damage in Mitchell County with damage earlier up to the north and west. Again, it's probably just about kind of getting this wind signature past the more popular area. And I will say something that concerned me a little bit more. This area. I know we talked about the other area not doing it as much further over. We were talking about some stuff back there, but this is starting to head a little bit more east here. Maybe east southeast, and if that's with the wind potential, that could be more of a problem for Thomasville, guys. If you're watching me from Thomasville, so heads up for you guys. I know we're watching things. At least it's not getting in Tallahassee, and I know you guys are still probably kind of on the edge after what happened in May. After we had a severe thunderstorm watch there in Tallahassee, and then we had some of the worst wind damage in the last 40 years happened in Tallahassee there, back on, that day in May, that Friday morning. Even had some fatalities there, obviously, just a terrible event. Some of the worst wind potential toward Tallahassee, and it came together so quick. You think of Hermine, you think of the edge of Michael, you think of Kate, the Hurricane Kate in 85, and just a severe area coming to town, had, some warning that there may be some severe weather, but didn't think it'd be widespread damage to maybe, 10 or 15 minutes beforehand when it became clear that there was a problem for Tallahassee on that day in May here, just a few months ago. And then they're never going to forget that. Schools being impacted there, obviously, with all that wind damage. There's a lot of cleanup to do in Tallahassee there in the wake of that system. Seeing that damage a few weeks after firsthand, there's still some of that lingering in the Ward Leon County. So, that was as we were looking there, of course, talking about in toward May and May 10th precisely. But again, let's go ahead and keep looking at things, keep tracking them. You can see that looks a little more broad now, but it still looks strong. Still looks impactful on Pine Park. As we go ahead and keep looking here. I-75. Again, still watching things. I know, tracking things. I know. You think of what happened in Tallahassee in May. You think of the hurricanes the last couple of years down toward the coast here, and think of the damage. But then life, for those impacted that, didn't lose their life, but it goes on, and you have to kind of clean up here and try to pick yourself up. But it's always got to be careful here, obviously, as we go through our Doppler scans. These look like they're weakening some. As stuff becomes more linear in this setup, I kind of think we're going to see some more weakening. Let me check our instability. Because, let's see, yeah, it's not. This probably isn't going to be enough to really maintain it further to the south. Not saying it won't. It's just, there is a marginal risk down in here, but this instability is low. We're talking about only a few hundred joules per kilogram. This is really low for summertime, per se. It's a different setup than we generally see. We had that dry air in there, and we're only seeing a few hundred joules per kilogram in this area right here. We don't even have the colors. These, yellow areas. That's a few thousand joules if you get, well, I should say the orange areas, and then those are a couple thousand joules per kilogram, and the red is a few thousand joules per kilogram. So my point is, that's enough energy for sure. Even the blue, that's over 500. That can be enough if you have the right conditions. That just looks like an area that's not going to support the severe potential as much. And that can sometimes reroute things. That might be what we're seeing with some of that stuff wanting to go more east. The storms want to follow the instability, and that could be an issue here with this pattern. They sometimes seemingly want to kind of focus, where they can still maintain themselves a little bit with the overall pattern and the like. So, that may be kind of what we're seeing here. You kind of see the switch a little bit. I know we're switching radar views some. That's why it's a little bit weird. But some of our areas have been pointing more easterly here lately, and this stuff might be trying to try to stay in an area that's more favorable, because if it goes into another area where there's not as much energy, it's going to fall apart here on us. Again, trying to keep you up to date. We're at 10 o'clock, 10:01. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. I've been on continuously for about an hour and a half now. And I hope we'll be able to wrap it pretty soon. Not going to guarantee it, but just trying to give you the latest. That area someone went to about 50 there. That's staying mainly west of the area. This from this radar is showing really strong here. Let me go in here. That's someone winds 62, 63 miles an hour, 58 miles an hour just east of Cairo. Again, watching that in Thomasville being, in more of a threat as things kind of, maybe become a little bit more messy in a way, but there's still, 50-mile-an-hour wind there, it looked like, in that vicinity, possibly. So we had a couple of the warnings go away at the top of the hour. As we look toward Baxley, we're watching some stuff north of our area there in Appling County. Some of that moving toward Wayne County later. We'll see, but I'd probably stay north of area with the worst, I would say. This stuff definitely looks weaker. A lot of it doesn't mean it couldn't still cause some issues. 50-mile-an-hour winds here, these areas, and then this area here is the one that still stands out. It says winds about 55. Okay, so we got 3 warnings in our area right now. We have some other advisories in the brown polygons, but 10:45 for just a sliver of Seminole County. This box here is good, valid until 10:30 for portions of Decatur, Grady, Thomas, and Brooks. This box over here is valid until 11 o'clock, and it goes for areas of Madison, Cook, Berry, and Lanier, Lowndes, Thomas, Brooks, and Colquitt. So that's kind of storyline there. That's for 60-mile-an-hour wind potential. This one is for 60-mile-an-hour wind potential and quarter-size hail. This one out here is for 60-mile-an-hour wind potential and quarter-size hail as well. As I see a gust there, 17 miles an hour on Bainbridge a little while ago. 36 miles an hour here in the last 10 minutes around Thomasville. So that kind of gives you an idea of what we're dealing with. That gives you an idea of what we're tracking. Again, trying to keep you safe here. Just going through information from other sources. It's all about protecting you, your friends, and your family. You said 32 mile. I got there on Moultrie Airport about 30 minutes ago. So, definitely some windy conditions that could cause some damage, but maybe, not like widespread major damage. So, it's about this area here on Pine Park at this point. But whether I said continued coverage or not, whether it's necessary, really, overall, as we try to give you the very latest. Again, trying to let you know what we're dealing with. I know there's some more questions here from some reviewers at home. As I continue to watch, it looks like Lacey's asking about, is Oklahoma going to have severe weather? I know they've had some here recently. Let's go ahead and kind of look at things here as the situation does progress. So let's go ahead and switch on over to another mode here real quick. I know there's been nasty weather on Little Rock. They've had some severe weather here recently around Oklahoma. They've had a warning. I noticed today with some pretty strong winds in the state, but it's looking like, really that green area, that's a small risk, but really not too big of a danger tomorrow. Not really seeing too much over there. And same right now for that Tuesday. So that's good. Okay, and then as we go ahead and look at more information, I know we see some more comments here. Thanks so much for watching there, AJ. And then Matt watching some stuff around the Alabama-Florida state line. I know we're watching some of this. That's showing a little bit of growth there potentially. But that's staying, the worst that looks like it's going to stay just west of our 62 counties as of now. It could change. I mean, we have a little expansion of the activity here around Donaldsonville and Bainbridge, so we'll have to watch. But right now that's staying more toward southeast Alabama, areas like Houston County there, and Alabama, and then areas in Florida there, like Jackson County. So that's kind of storyline there right now. I think we just got a new warning on some of this. As we continue to watch. Yeah, new warning popping up for 60-mile-an-hour winds till 10:30 Central, which would be 11:30 Eastern. That's for near further west with this kind of going more south, and it looks like more southerly. A little bit of easterly component though, so we'll have to watch. But just continue to try to give you the latest here. Nicole, thanks so much for watching as well. As we continue here, at least a little longer. Again, let me go ahead and see what we have here. from the Moody Air Force Base radar. That's not showing it too well. Let's go back over to Tallahassee's view. Pine Park there. Definitely watching that area. Let me kind of back that up just a little bit. Let me see, you know, some pretty nasty wind enhancement there. Yeah, definitely could have some issues, especially on the south side of Thomasville next few minutes. You know, according to this, I mean, you know, maybe even right into downtown now, because some of this is out ahead of it, which would have more trouble reaching probably. So it may, you know, actually be kind of in here, right into where Thomasville, Roy. That makes me think it's, looking at some of that it might not be, you know, maybe as easily reaching the ground in some ways, but that's a populated enough area where, you know, it only, you know, takes, you know, one little part of that reaching and it's still going to impact somebody. So, again, just continuing to watch. You see Cairo there, we're watching you guys. This stuff definitely looks more, you know, diminished in some ways. Still could be dangerous, still lightning around to some wind, but definitely looks like quite a bit weaker here as we're looking around Nashville, Georgia. Wind's only to about 40 to maybe 45 in velocity over here. Same further out. And then we watch this area here. Again, this one area that keeps me kind of wanting to stick on the air here with you a little longer, but it's not as, let me back this up a little so you guys what I'm saying. So it's a little more aligned with the wind, and that makes me think it's got more trouble reaching as we get further off here, and it looks, you know, there's not much red in here either, so that could be a limiting factor in terms of the severe potential getting down toward the surface. Okay, so again, just continuing to watch. Go to the overview here. Take that off. That was a risk area. Here's your watch till 2 a.m. May have some local extensions. We'll see, considering I'm talking about more spacily than time right now, unless we start to get a resurgence on the line further back. But which we could. It's not out of the question, but it's a situation here where, you know, we do have some areas maybe in Florida that be impacted, but it might not necessarily, you know, this current accident anyway, you know, be past 2 a.m. I mean, some of that energy is still there toward like Gadsden and Leon County versus like Taylor County and Suwannee County and Columbia County. So again, still watching this, checking the wind direction and the like. I know it's out of our area, but there's a lingering warning in Toombs County, Georgia now. So you can kind of see on the map. That goes until about 10:15, so only a few more minutes. You see Thomasville, you see Adel. We're going to keep watching things. Let me take another look at velocity. If I see the trends, you know, that are more positive, then we go ahead and kind of, you know, wrap this stream up and be back if necessary here. We'll post any new warnings on Facebook and Twitter/X in terms of severe thunderstorm warnings across the area. If we see enough, we'll come back. Obviously, if anything's a tornado warning in our area, we'll jump back in immediately. But okay, so that trend there, that looks a little bit weaker still. It is kind of coming to Thomasville still, so you still got to be kind of careful because the more popular area, but that's definitely showing a little bit more weakening now. So gotta still, you know, still could have some new warnings because there's enough instability lingering to the south in here. So we'll watch around I-75 too. There's a lightning, you know, that's an issue, and the like. I'm just not seeing enough to justify sticking with it here at this point. But you still gotta be really careful. So let me go ahead and just, again, we're gonna be on if necessary. Once again, you know, if it is needed. You know, as we look ahead in the timeline. But I'm seeing the weakening trend. That's good. Still gotta be careful whenever thunder roars. Go indoors, obviously, but. Make sure watch here on Facebook, Casey Cloud Debris as needed when we're on, or if we're just posting stuff, follow on there, and Clouds Weather, pretty much really the same stuff on both pages here at this point. Then on Twitter/X at Cloud Casey, you know, we're posting, retweeting stuff and the like, you know, doing, you know, a link to the live stream over there. YouTube at Cloud Weather, of course, the live stream's on that. You know, and you can subscribe now. over there, and then you can enable notifications as well if you want to be notified when I come on, whether it's for the formal updates late at night on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or other updates here in terms of severe weather and the like. You have Twitch there, Cloud Weather, and then cloudweather.com. So that's going to do it for now. I thank you so much for tuning in, trusting me. We're going to keep watching these storms. If we have more reason to come back, we will. Still be careful, but otherwise, thanks so much for watching and trusting me. Have a great night.